So welcome everyone. At this time, I'm now going to ask you all to keep yourselves on mute, and I'm going to turn it over to Amy and take it away. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. So I just want to say it might help you for this evening if in the top right of your screen under view, if you choose speaker view. So if you choose speaker view, you might enjoy what you're seeing a little bit more so you won't get more distracted. Also, there is a chat. So if you wanted to put questions, comments, concerns in the chat, by all means, and Alyssa will be monitoring the chat. I absolutely left plenty of time at the end for questions. If you think you're going to forget your question, jot it down. That is totally fine. And okay, so let me share my screen and we will get started. Okay, so just to make sure everybody's in the right place, we are here. We are discussing managing your calendar for optimum success. Why are we doing this now? Because in case you haven't heard me talk about this a lot, and if you follow me on social media, you'll hear me talking about a lot of these things. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as Amazing Spaces. September is really like the other new year. So it is a time where we find we kind of kickstart ourselves all over again. It's when kids go back to school, our schedules change, the traffic flow changes out on the roads. It's a time where we start to see snowbirds come on down. Things rev up at this time of year, and it really is the other new year, right? It's a time where you even see new calendars come out, daily planners come out, with that start date of September. So this was the perfect time. This is why Alyssa was so brilliant in bringing this to you right now. Okay. So as Alyssa said, I'll tell you a little bit more about me. I was really glad to hear about all of you, and I may speak to some of the things that I think may be particular to you in your industry or situation. I am Amy Bergman. I am a native Floridian, which is kind of rare. How that helps me in the work that I do as a professional organizer is I totally understand the Florida home. A Florida home is very different than a home built somewhere else in this country, and it is a challenge to organize a Florida home, and it's one of my specialties. I did go to school in New England. I went to UMass Amherst. I do have a business degree. I majored in marketing. My minor was African American Studies, which is a whole another topic for another time. As Alyssa mentioned, I worked in my local community for 20 years in nonprofit work. And I decided in 2022, after much planning, to launch my own professional organizing business. Professional organizing has always been my passion. It's always been who I've been. You can talk to my parents. I never played with Barbies and Legos. I was organizing the shoes in the closet. That was my form of play. So it is no surprise that I ended up here. My business is Amazing Spaces, spelled AMYZING Spaces. And that's a little bit of who I am. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the industry about professional organizing, there's lots of niches, just like everything else, just like there's lots of different doctors or lawyers who specialize, different realtors and real estate options, different niches. My professional organizing business is really helping people in their home and in their offices organize their physical environment and spaces, and to help them with productivity and time management. So on LinkedIn, this is how I describe myself. And I would love to connect with all of you working women in LinkedIn. If you haven't connected with me, I would love to connect with you and support you in what you're doing and help you find more connections. So I'm a problem solver, and I love to find solutions to organizing challenges. I have a keen sense of space that allows me to visualize and result in a creative way. I'm a social connector, and I love helping my clients find the local resources and connections they need to declutter, sort, and set up their space in a way that is meaningful and productive for them, I consider my life to be a lifelong learner and constantly trying out new and different organizational and time management solutions to share with my clients and audiences. So it's truly my philosophy and how I believe in what I do. I love quotes and memes, and you'll see that I share these all the time. And I thought this was a great one to kick off what we're going to talk about. You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. Nothing could be more true. Habits take time to develop and adopt. It usually takes about 2 weeks to bring on a new habit into your life. But once you have made something a daily habit, it can change the trajectory of your day and can change your life. I'm sure you've heard a million times, you should make your bed every day. If you start by making your bed every morning, then you have started off accomplishing one small task. You've already accomplished something. And it's easier to take completing one small thing and move it into going through your day and completing other things. And at the end of the day, if you had a terrible, awful day, you're coming home to a beautifully made bed. Or if you've had a great day, you're coming home to a beautifully made bed. So daily habits are really, really important and will help all of us with the productivity in the rest of our day. So looking at September, I want to talk a little bit about using the calendar as a catalyst for change. So how do we do that? Let's look at September, like I said, as the New Year's. It's a catalyst for change. We are going to start to see the time difference as we move into fall a little bit, shifting our schedules. And how do we think about that and think about ourselves and when we know we are most productive? So there are night owls and morning larks. So there are those of us who are most productive in the evening and at the end of the day, and there are those of us who are naturally more productive first thing in the morning and at the beginning of the day. How do you recognize that about yourself and set yourself up and your calendar for success, knowing that? Okay. Clutter is not just the stuff on the floor. It's anything that stands between you and the life you want to be living. Okay. And that holds true for clutter on your calendar. Or I would also argue that most of us don't put enough on our calendar. And we're going to get to that, but I just wanted to kind of say this ahead of time to you, because when we're talking about the life we want to be living, and I heard a few of you say you're starting new businesses and you have goals and you have dreams, right? So what is getting in your way? And maybe that's not just the physical clutter around you, but maybe it's clutter in your mind, right? Or clutter on your calendar. So let's talk about the calendar a little bit, okay? Let me see if I can see all of you. Okay, so calendars can be multiple different forms of a calendar. So by show of hands, how many people use a paper calendar, an actual physical calendar? Okay, how many people use like a digital on your phone or computer, Outlook? Yeah, how many people actually have both? Okay. So when we talk about these calendars, and you know what, technology is great, but sometimes having too much of calendars can actually cause a problem, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But it is very common right now for people to have some version of both, right? Some version of both, whether they're doing their personal on a paper calendar and their work is a digital, or they're using one digital for everything they do. You know, I'm going to give you tips and tricks no matter which you use, but I'm also going to propose some ideas to you of how you may get a better paper calendar system or a better digital system than what you're currently using. When we talk about calendars, you also want to think about who needs access to your calendar. So does your work calendar also need to be accessible to your partner, your assistant, or other people on your team. So that would be an important part of your calendar and the access to it. Also, with your calendar, I want you to think about right now, what are you planning on that calendar and what are you tracking? And if the answer is no to either one of those things, you're not planning anything using a calendar and you're not tracking anything on the calendar, then you're missing out on a lot of the benefit of a calendar. A calendar is not just a place where we put meeting times and dates and vacation days. And many people only use their calendar, whether paper or digital, for that function. And they're really missing out. A calendar you can use for so many more things, and you can rev up your productivity by using your calendar for tracking and planning. And I'll talk to you more about what that looks like. To-do lists. How many people use a to-do list? Raise your hand. To-do list. Great. I love a good to-do list. Love a good to-do list. What does a to-do list have to do with calendaring and productivity? I'm going to tell you. Something that is not assigned a time to happen most likely will not happen. So to-do lists are great, but if the items on the to-do list, the tasks, let's say, are never translated to the calendar, then there's least likely the chance that you'll be checking off that item on your to-do list, and more likely you'll just be moving it to tomorrow's to-do list. Does that make sense? So I want you to start thinking when you are using a to-do list, whether it's just like a pad of paper or a Post-it note, it doesn't have to be fancy. I want you to take the items on the to-do list and assign them a chunk of time or a time frame on the calendar. So if on your to-do list, you need to write a strategic plan or budget for next year or send in paperwork for your taxes or whatever, don't just write that on a to-do list. Take that to-do list and either digitally sync it, because you can, to your calendar, or physically type into your calendar or handwrite on your calendar when that to-do item is going to take place. Okay, and I'm going to talk to you about how to do that in the best way to assure success, but I want you to think about how a to-do list is related to a calendar. Okay. So there are going to be multiple slides here that you're going to feel like you want to write down everything. This is being recorded, so you can always go back to it. I also encourage you to take out your cell phone and to actually take photos or screenshot on your laptop anything that you think you want to revisit later, because I'm about to give you a lot of information, and I just want you to remember these tools that you have so that you don't feel nervous about what you're missing here, okay? So, like I said with the to-do list, you're going to actually set aside the time to do the thing you want to do, okay? You're going to use that to-do list or checklist in conjunction with it, okay? We're going to set realistic deadlines. The next one is the hardest one. Eliminate interruptions and distractions. So for those of us working in a home office setting, I encourage you to bulk or block your calendar in chunks where you know your kids aren't coming home. Maybe it's when your dog always takes a nap and won't need you. When you are planning out your days, your weeks, your month, you need to also look at when you will be least distracted or interrupted. Like if you know you always have a neighbor that comes home around 4 o'clock and wants to chit chat out by the mailbox, don't set yourself up for disaster, set yourself up for success. The next step would be focus on the thing you're trying to do, and then also take some breaks. Your calendar and your to-do list should also relate to breaks in your day. You should give yourself breaks and be realistic about the amount of time that you can give to something. To say, I'm going to spend the next 3 hours writing a business plan, that's not a good idea. It's just not, because nobody can concentrate for that amount of time with no breaks. And breaks are important. Sometimes what I do is I'll set a timer on my phone. I love using timers on my phone, so that it forces me to stop what I'm doing, take a break, get up, walk around, grab some water, whatever it might be. Okay, so let me talk to you now about paper calendars. I love a good paper calendar. Paper calendars are great. They have positives and they have negatives. There are some great paper calendars. You don't have to buy fancy ones. The one on the left, the top left, is a passion planner. Passion planners, you can put in your own dates. They're not like specific to 2023, 2024. You can start it whenever you want. You can end it whenever you want. It has lots of different things. They have an online component that will help you plan. I love passion planners, but they are truly designed for the person that is an active planner user, wakes up every morning, sets their intention, goes through their calendar. It's not for everyone, okay? That's one version of a tangible paper calendar. On the top right is an example of free printed calendars that you can just print off the internet for yourself. So 100% free. And I really love these from iMom. And they have free downloadables, and you can month by month have a paper calendar that you print off for free. That's just another version of a calendar. The one in the middle and the bottom is a refrigerator whiteboard. So a lot of people use a wall calendar at home or a refrigerator whiteboard, okay? And this is great. And you can color code for different people in your family, so you can keep track of your kids' activities and how that relates to your meetings and where you need to be and who's in, who's out, who's home, who's out. Here's the limitation on a tangible calendar. That calendar only lives with you and only lives wherever the calendar is. So if you don't physically have it with you, and you are out to a meeting and somebody wants to schedule a meeting, you don't have your calendar, it just becomes a mess, and you can't really thoughtfully plan your calendar if it's not with you. If you're keeping a calendar on the wall at home or on the refrigerator, it's only there, and it's very limiting. If you have a family and all of your calendars connect, it is very hard for you to know if you have a spouse and the spouse has an evening meeting on a Thursday that he just booked yesterday, and it's not up on the calendar on the refrigerator, and then you needed to be somewhere that night, and who's going to be with the kids, right? So I say to you, as much as I love a physical, I'm not trying to say the physical calendar is dead. I'm just saying to you, they have a time and a place, and there are limitations to it. I know that a lot of people still use them and really love them. I also am a big fan of, if you're doing it in actual writing, to use pencil, okay? Not pen. Now I'm going to talk to you about digital, okay? So many of us use like Outlook for work, right? So you have your Outlook at work calendar, and then maybe you're using a paper at home or a wall calendar at home for the family. Again, it's very hard because you can't see both things at the same time. So your answer might be a digital option. On the left, there's actually you can create a family on Google, and then you can create a family calendar. And this is great because everyone in your family, once they're old enough to have their own device, can then be populating said calendar at the same time. Another one that I love for another free one is from Cozy. Cozy is a free calendar app, and you can track everyone's, up on your top right corner, it shows an example of what your screen looks like with the Cozy. It can be on your laptop, it can be on your phone, and it color codes everybody in your family and who has to be where. If two people if mom is driving a kid to soccer, then both mom and kid are listed under that soccer activity. If you're at a late night meeting, it shows that you're at a late night meeting. You can manage all of your appointments and practice schedules and everything. The thing I love about the Cozy calendar and app is you can send yourself notifications or send other people in your family notifications that something's happening later today or tomorrow. You can also share lists. So in this app, you can set up a grocery list for Aldi, for Publix, for Trader Joe's, for Costco, and anybody in your family can then populate. If somebody uses a last of milk in the morning and you're at work, they're putting milk on that list. So when you stop at home, you don't have to say, what do we need? What do we need? And can someone go pull the list off the refrigerator? It's all self-populating in the app, which is amazing and is a total game changer for a busy family, especially if you have older kids who are driving on their own, things like that. And it is available on any mobile device or computer. So I would say to you, if you are a busy family and you're having multiple schedules and your kids have a schedule and your spouse has a schedule and you have a schedule and it's hard to keep track, take a look at the Cozy app. It is 100% free. You can try it, for a month and see if you like it. It is like one of my best calendar referrals. Okay, so now I'm going to share a couple of calendaring hacks with you. So I don't know if a lot of you have used block calendaring. I talked about it a little bit. I love it. It's where you break up your workday in sections, okay? So I like to talk about this if you do it by type of work. So for example, a lot of solo entrepreneurs like myself like to dedicate Monday morning, let's say, or Tuesday afternoons for all the admin parts of our business, the back end, right? When you're going to do your accounting stuff, when you're going to get a handle on your paperwork or your invoicing, right? So you're blocking off the calendar for just those tasks. Maybe Wednesday mornings is when you're going to work on all of your social media content, right? So you're taking chunks of your calendar, blocking it off by the kind of task. And sometimes this makes sense if you have a certain kind of job and you're traveling. So you know that every Friday morning you are in Port St. Lucie for the morning. So you can have certain tasks, certain days of the week. It's called block calendaring. And it is very, very effective and very helpful with scheduled breaks. So don't do a block of 4 hours. Do a block of like an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, but grouped by task, because then your brain is in that mode and in that function, and you have everything that you need supply-wise, material-wise for that kind of task all pulled at one time. So you're not trying to revisit it tomorrow for an hour and then the day after for half an hour, and I'll finish this on Thursday. So just think about that. That's one really great hack for you. Okay, you're going to want to screenshot this. This is my gift to you. So PTO days. So for those of you, especially if you work for someone else, this is, oops, sorry, let me go back. This is really helpful. So what this is this is how to maximize your time off, whether it's PTO or vacation, for the coming year. So knowing that this coming year, New Year's Day is on a Monday, you would request off the previous Friday and Tuesday to maximize 5 days off, only using 2 days off, if that makes sense. So take a look at what I put up here. You can screenshot it, you can take a picture of it. This is just another example of planning your calendar. So this goes all the way through July of next year. So if you plan this now, okay, you're going to sync it. If you have kids, you're going to sync it with the school calendar too. And you are going to see that you have already planned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 5-day vacations for yourself in the next couple of months between January and July. And when you think of it that way, that is giving you the time and the space to rest and reset so that you are even more productive in between these times. Okay. Okay. Okay, so then my next productivity hack is something that is called body doubling. It's Also, sometimes with my clients, I refer to it as a power hour. So this is a really great hack. If you're the kind of person that has those tasks that always move from your to-do list from one day to another day that you never get to, that never get done, never get accomplished. Why? Because you don't like them. It's something that you don't want to do. You don't like doing it. It might be a challenge for you. You just always are putting it off. This is where body doubling or a power hour might be the perfect productivity hack for you. So what this is a set amount of time. It doesn't have to be an hour, it could be a half an hour, where you are going to side by side or FaceTime to FaceTime or Zoom or however you want to share space with someone else. It can be a relative, a colleague, anyone, where you are going to do those 3 or 4 or 5 tasks that you just can't seem to get done otherwise, that you hate doing, and they're going to sit next to you and they're going to do their 3 or 4 or 5 things that they hate doing, right? Has nothing to do with one another. So you may be a teacher and they may be a musician or whatever it is. You each are going to keep each other company and accountable for doing those tasks. So body doubling is doing a task with another person in the same space or virtually. They don't have to be able to help you. They don't have to be in your same industry. They are just there as an accountability partner so that you both can get your stuff done. Okay? It keeps it kind of fresh. It keeps it kind of exciting. You know, you're having somebody next to you. You could do this in a public library. You can do this in your home. You can do this in a Starbucks. It is just a great productivity hack that I swear to you really works, especially for those things that you find you are not doing on your own. And you may also find that those things that you don't typically get to, you might want to try doing first thing in the morning. It's kind of like doing the thing you don't like to do first and getting it out of the way is also another tactic that a lot of people find work. So I'm going to leave time for questions. I wanted to give you this screen as well. If you want to take a look at this screen or screenshot it, this is where to find me and to follow because I give lots of tips every single day. And I wanted to open up for some questions. So I'm going to stop my share. Okay. So I did not see the chat. Let me look at the chat real quick. Time tree. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So did anyone have any questions or? Yes, Christina.
Thank you, Amy. That was really, really helpful. My question is, I think it's around the block calendaring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't always know how long a project is going to take, for example, or because I don't know all the steps that are involved. So would you recommend like just saying, okay, I'm going to block an hour or 2 hours with a break and work on that and get as far as I can in that time?
I think that you need to map it. Have you ever mapped the project first? I would suggest giving yourself a half-hour block to map the project first so that you do know the steps that you need to take. I think that the important thing might be how are you going to accomplish the project if you don't know the steps? So if step 1 is coming up with the goals and objectives, then that's the first step. If after that you have to develop a budget or a plan, then that's 2 and 3. But I think to map that out for yourself, and maybe the map that you create is universal for all of your projects, or maybe it's specific to a certain project. I don't know one that you're talking about in particular, but you are correct. If you don't know the steps to a project and you're not sure how long each step will take, then there's no way you could possibly do the block calendaring, and that's not fair to you either. So perhaps there's a colleague who's done a similar project that could help you at least figure out how much time something like that might take. I'm not sure. but I could see how your calendar would get away from you in that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if that was helpful, but I would say you need to
Yeah.
map it out you need to map out the steps to your project. And if you're unsure of the steps, then I think right there, that's telling you a lot.
Well, yeah, well, I'm like working on some stuff that I've never done before. So I'm kind of finding that as I do
No.
one step, then I think, oh, this is what I need to do next. So I've just been kind of time blocking by time, but I don't know if that's an efficient way to do, say, okay, I'm going to put
if it's
my
something
head
new,
down
you
for an hour and
break
figure
it
out
up.
what the next step is.
You got to break it up into smaller bites. Just like when we're organizing, we don't just say we're going to organize a whole room. We're going to start with a nightstand. Do you understand? We're starting small, one bit. And then once you do that, then I think that might be your better way to do it. And then after you do it once, then you'll know, for the next time how long that piece of the puzzle takes.
Exactly.
But keep track of it. You know what I mean? So when you complete part 1 of that project, write it down. So now you know that only took 45 minutes.
Oh, that's really good advice. Yeah. So the next time I know.
Yes, 100%. All right. Candace had her hand raised, I believe. I'm sorry, Candace.
Thanks, Amy.
No, it was the second part of you answered it with
I did.
Christine's question. Yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Timers are your friend. I set a timer on my watch. Some of my most productive thinking is in the morning when I'm on a walk. And that's where I kind of block out my day, even though my calendar's already set. If there are certain things that I want to do or people I want to contact, I set timers for myself, reminders, and I'll say, hey, you know who, SIRI, that person. Hey, you know who, set reminder for 9 a.m. Call Bob about whatever. And so if that's not on my calendar, I'm like setting myself up all day for those things, all those reminders. And that works for me, but some people may not like their phone going off all the time. Okay. Pomodoro technique. Okay, so Sarah, please speak more because I am not familiar. Share. Sarah? Sarah, would you like to share more about the Pomodoro? Because I'm not familiar with it.
Can you hear me now? I was trying to unmute myself.
Yes.
Okay. It's where there are different apps you can use, or you can just use a timer. You work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break, or you can do your own version of it where you work for 45 minutes, you take a 10-minute break. It's kind of like a little cycle.
Oh, I love that. So it's a free app?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good one. Good.
It doesn't have to be an app. You can go online and there are websites for it, and it's really actually really popular.
Okay, great.
But I was wondering if you knew about it, like if you knew there was like an alternative for that. Yeah.
I actually don't. I mean, I could look into it more. If those of you who want to go a little deeper into productivity, this book is like one of my favorites. It's productivity for how we are wired. And it really is more of a book/workbook. And it helps you figure out who you are in the productivity world and how you function and how you are wired as an individual. We are all wired differently. We are all wired differently. When I walk into someone's home and I see a wall of Post-it notes, right? Are you familiar with the wall of Post-it notes? I pretty much know what kind of individual I'm dealing with. They need a visual cue. They need a visual cue for everything that they do. And we are all wired differently. All of our brains are differently. We all process things differently. Our children process things differently. And we don't want to ask people we live with and care about and love to try to work with a system that may not work for them. I have one kid who's ADHD, and what she needs is completely different than my other kid. So when it comes to the family calendar, she needs that we have a cozy. She needs the reminder sent to her, even though it's on the cozy, her ADHD brain is not going to check the calendar. She needs it driven back to her by way of some kind of reminder. And that's just how she functions. So it's really important that you kind of know yourself and know what works for you. And I know that that's not always easy. Okay. Do I have an example of map for projects? Not physically on me right now, but here, I'm going to do it right now with you. Your project, you put in the center of a circle. Okay. And then you can, it's similar with curriculum. It's similar with storytelling, where you have the central thing is the project or the goal or the objective, right? And then you have spokes coming out from the circle. You have spokes, and on the spokes are all the different tasks or things that need to be done to complete the project. And then you can, from the spokes, you can do little lines out where you would either assign others or yourself to accomplish those tasks. So maybe you're working on something that you're relying on 3,000 other people to do their job for you to do your job, right? So if you are in real estate investment, right? You can't do your job unless you're getting something from the builder, something from the investor, something from the attorney, whatever it might be. All of those parts and pieces to the central circle have to happen in order for you to complete the task. And who are you getting them from, right? And I would even say to you, and in the mapping, if something is you, a you-owned thing, it's in one color. And something that is somebody else's thing is in another color. And then that map is also going to drive the to-do list, which is connected to your calendar. So when are you following up with the investor or the attorney or the contractor on their part and piece that needs to be done at said deadline, right? So that follow-up that you have to do, right, that nagging, let's say, in a gentle way, is going to be on your calendar. Email contractor today or email contractor next week. I'm sorry I don't have a copy of the map. I should have, but next time I will, I promise. Was there more? Wait, question. I think anyone else have a question?
I have kind of a comment.
Yeah, sure.
On the screenshot of maximizing your PTO and vacation day.
Mhm.
Okay, I was a teacher for 21 years and I always thought about doing that, but I never thought of it in the big picture. And
It's amazing.
Now as a business owner, I could see that because I also have a business that has like 200 employees. I could see using something like that as not making people take PTO or vacation days, but actually giving them those days, which would do
What
a
a
lot.
blessing. Yes, for morale. But show it to them, Sharon, show it to them in that way so that they can see the added benefit and value, and that you value their personal time, right? So they will, then value their work time and be more productive. I say to you, oh, thank you, lovely person who's sharing mapping. Thank you. Is that you, Lissa? Thank you. You're muted.
No, it's me.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. So
You're
those are
welcome.
some
Really awesome.
Yeah. So, as I said, it's a circle. I'm sorry. I was trying really hard. I was like pantomiming, but this is the visual. So these are really, great ways, to do it. And I would say when you're tackling a large project like this, your mindset is everything. So it's all about your mindset, not I have to do this, but I get to do this. So if every part and piece of the project you are tackling or the thing that you are doing, you try to come from a positive mindset, it will do nothing but benefit you and your teams, which is a whole nother presentation that we can talk about another time. But just for the purpose of this, this is like a very like 101 kind of situation. I wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to mention, I will be doing in-person presentations for the library coming up this year. One in November, one in January, one in February, one in April, on different topics. The one in January is one on time management like this. The one in November is on budget-friendly grocery shopping and meal planning for the holidays. I'm doing a decluttering one in February. It's decluttering demystified if you want all of my tips and tricks for decluttering your life. And then I'm doing one in April on travel hacks and how to pack a suitcase for spring break. So those are just some other presentations I'm doing for the library, and those will all be at the Mandel branch in West Palm in person on a Saturday at 2:30, and we can share the dates afterwards and times.
Yes, I will definitely share dates as we approach each and let everybody know about these fabulous in-person opportunities to work with you and learn from you. And this was incredible. Thank you so much, Amy. I really, I think I agree 100%. Mindset's everything, and you helped, you know, turn my mindset around about my calendar and staying organized, and I really appreciate it. And I know everybody else did as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. And thank you, Amy, so much for this fabulous presentation.
Thanks for coming,
Hi,
everyone.
I will send out the recording probably Sunday. So please look for it on Sunday. Make sure that you're registered on LinkedIn. That's how I usually send it out. I will also share it with Amy, and she will share it with her contacts as well. So, and of course, you're always welcome to reach out to me directly at the library if you have any questions, need any information. My name is Alyssa, and I work on the second floor in the technology department. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you all again for coming. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Amy.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
I'm going to say goodbye, Amy, and I'll see
Okay.
you soon, okay?
Okay,
Take care.
thanks,
Bye.
Alyssa.